Hi there, I'm Kim Vanell, taking you through some of the things people are talking about and the stuff they're sharing around the world on NewsFeed today. More mass shootings in the US raise questions over 8chan, the unmoderated message board that's become a haven for far-right radicalisation. Article 370 is revoked in India, putting Kashmir on lockdown as residents brace for the fallout. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's a hoverboard, of course, crossing the English Channel. And NewsFeed invites you to the farewell of a much-loved lizard. A mass shooting in the US has ignited a conversation about white supremacists and online radicalisation, and how right-wing media, some of it really mainstream, is echoing racists online. The man accused of killing 20 people in a mall in El Paso on Saturday is believed to have posted a manifesto online beforehand on a website you may have heard of, 8chan. It's been used by 3 mass murderers already this year because it's an unmoderated forum, and that's become a haven for people whose views get them kicked off other areas of the internet. Arabella Monroe explains.
But do that. But how do you stop these people? You can't. There's no...
People are resharing this video from a few weeks before the El Paso attack.
That's only in the panhandle you can get away with that stuff.
They say US President Donald Trump is partially responsible for inspiring the killing of 20 people on Saturday. And so have several US politicians.
His rhetoric has produced the kinds of hate crimes that we saw in El Paso yesterday, but we've been seeing across this country.
The shooter was a vocal Trump supporter and seems to have made his motives clear. This was an attack on Hispanic people. 19 minutes before the first 911 call alerted police, an anonymous account posted a manifesto to the site 8chan announcing an attack. Called The Inconvenient Truth, the 2-page document cites the Christchurch terror attack as inspiration, as well as a racist conspiracy theory called the Great Replacement. It falsely claims white people are being deliberately replaced by people of colour through mass immigration. The theory has been popularised online through racist memes like this and this, and on alt-right YouTube channels, podcasts and radio shows.
Many on the left view America as a battlefield. The battle is taking place through demographic change and population replacement. If they can suppress the birth rates of Americans and bring in enough immigrants to replace European Americans, America as they know it and hate it, the evil, white supremacist, racist America, will be erased within a few short decades.
But then it showed up in the manifestos of mass murderers, including the men who killed 51 Muslims praying peacefully in New Zealand, Jews visiting a synagogue in San Diego, and Hispanic families shopping for back-to-school supplies in Walmart in El Paso. And many people say it's also showing up on Fox News.
Massive demographic changes have been foisted upon the American people.
Sneaking into the country and you have a kid in order to do it, to maybe change the trajectory of generations.
They are attempting to replace us with citizens that they think, that are future citizens, that they think would be more amenable to voting for them.
Users on 8chan go further, actively praising mass shooters and Nazis. Cloudflare, a site that provides infrastructural support to 8chan, has cut its service. Though it hesitated over the decision, people have praised the way it made the announcement, saying, despite that warning and others like it, many people are calling for the site to be shut. There are also calls for authorities to stop seeing 8chan as an expression of free speech, but rather as a tool for the radicalisation of white supremacist terrorists.
Let's have a look now at some other things that caught our eye on social media.
They used me for their entertainment, fed on shoddy stuff. Life was over in a moment.
Kevin Spacey has returned to the public sphere with a kind of impromptu poetry performance at an archaeological museum in Rome. As you saw there, standing next to a statue of a boxer, he read a poem titled "The Boxer," its message seemingly blurring the lines between reality and art. It talks about a boxer being beaten down, but in the process becoming even greater. Spacey was, of course, accused by several people of sexual assault, and since those allegations 2 years ago, has stayed largely out of the spotlight. Beleaguered rapper A$AP Rocky has Instagrammed his thanks after his release from custody in Sweden. The 30-year-old is back on US soil awaiting a verdict, having been charged with assault over a brawl which A$AP says was actually just him acting in self-defense. His case garnered even more attention when US President Donald Trump bizarrely got involved, tweeting pressure on the Swedes and sending America's hostage envoy to Sweden to help move things along. Hashtag Article 370 went straight to the top of the trending charts as soon as India's government convened on Monday, and it's no wonder. The government has revoked Article 370 of the Constitution, essentially taking back what little autonomy the disputed region of Kashmir had. Now, nationalists are, of course, celebrating because they see Kashmir as part of India. But Pakistan, which also lays claim to the territory, is furious. So what is Article 370 and what will it mean for those living in Kashmir? Here's Nick Davies-Jones.
India has announced that it's ending the special status enjoyed by Jammu and Kashmir. It's done so by revoking Articles 370 and 35A of India's constitution. That will allow people from anywhere in India to buy and own property in Kashmir. And that, according to local fears, will change the region's ethnic makeup. It has been a long-standing aim of the BJP party on the disputed territory. Ahead of the Indian Parliament proposal, conditions for residents appear to have worsened. Local lawmakers have been placed under house arrest, including President of the Jammu and Kashmir People's Democratic Party, Mehbooba Mufti, and thousands fear more violence will erupt. But how is this playing out on social media? Many Indians support the decision.
He came, he promised, he delivered. Article 370, historic decision today. This is why we keep voting for BJP and not Congress.
But not everyone agrees.
India, shame on you. A slave nation with a slave mind will always think of making others their slaves.
Regardless, many will tell you things are about to change.
Flat rent in Kashmir before and after Article 370 abolished.
The next 24 hours could be crucial for locals caught up in the political crisis.
What's in a name? A lot, as it turns out, especially if you're looking for a job. A study in the US looked into racial and ethnic discrimination based just on a person's name during the hiring process. It compared 9 different countries, and you might be surprised to see who came out worst off. Take a look at this.
No phone calls, no emails, nothing. One day I just thought, what if I try Joe? Just remove the S in my name. 7 days later, the next Monday, that's when all the responses started coming.
Jose's story made a lot of headlines when it first came out in 2014. But he's not the only one. Ethnic-sounding names are one of the reasons why many job applicants don't get a call back from prospective employers. That's what a study conducted by Northwestern University in the US has found. The study looked into the hiring process in 9 countries and compiled data from previously conducted experiments.
We found racial and ethnic discrimination against non-white groups was really quite ubiquitous across countries.
The experiments use made-up resumes with the same qualifications but different names to measure the reactions of employers to ethnic-sounding names, as opposed to names that signaled white ethnicity. France and Sweden ranked the highest for discrimination during the hiring process. They were followed by the UK, Canada, Belgium, and Norway, while the US, the Netherlands, and Germany had relatively lower levels of racial discrimination in recruitment. 2 years ago, Harvard Business School conducted a similar study. They had found that people belonging to minority groups, especially African Americans and Asian Americans, removed references to their ethnicity in their resumes to increase their chances of getting a callback. And it was working. This strategy isn't necessarily exclusive to the US.
And I wasn't getting the sort of a response I would get with my background. So one of my friends suggested, why have you thought of changing your name? I had a nickname added to my CV, Frank, and whether it was coincidence or whether things changed, but I started getting a better response.
As resumes with different sounding names continue to be buried under, when will employers be held accountable for their bias?
Well, let's go around the world now for some other stories you need to know this Monday. First off, I know it's meant to be #Transformation Tuesday, but this one can't wait. This may look like a young girl, but there you can see. It's actually Brazilian gang leader Claudinho da Silva, aka Shorty. This convincing get-up was his attempt at escaping prison dressed as his 19-year-old daughter. There we go. His daughter had come to visit him in the clink, and his plan was to walk out, leaving her inside. But guards say his nervousness gave him away. I guess the eyes really don't lie. Power is back on for tens of millions of people in Indonesia who have plunged into darkness after a massive power outage. It took 12 hours to get the power back on in the affected areas of Jakarta and Java Island. And if you're from or in Indonesia or you've visited, you'll know how packed the place is. So imagine the congestion when traffic lights went out and trains came to a standstill. Authorities say the outage was due to disruptions at several power plants. The first ever restoration of King Tutankhamun's sarcophagus is underway in Cairo, and it's been put on display for the occasion. The delicate work will take 8 months to complete. A long time, yes, but necessary, given the gilded layers of plaster on the coffin have started to crack. It's the third and largest coffin housing the remains of the boy king. The other two, which sat inside it, are already on display at the Egyptian Museum. A French inventor has become the first person to cross the English Channel on a jet-powered hoverboard. Former jet ski champion Frankie Zabata made the journey in 22 minutes. It was his second attempt. On the first try, he missed a landing platform in the middle of the channel, which he needed in order to change fuel packs to make it all the way across. Zabata designed the hoverboard himself, which he's calling his personal aviation system, and said he got up to 170 kilometers per hour while doing the crossing. Imagine the wind noise. And finally, Turkey's Syriac Christian community is getting a new modern church right here in Istanbul. The Syriac people have roots in Assyria or ancient Mesopotamia, making them, as President Erdogan described, ancient children of our geography. Here's the story.
Coğrafyamızın kadim evlatları olan Süryani toplumunun diğer tüm meseleleri gibi ibadet ihtiyaçlarının karşılanmasını sağlamak Türkiye Cumhuriyeti Devleti'nin görevidir.
Now, the funeral of a much-loved lizard is doing the rounds on the internet. The proceedings were captured in a 6-part Twitter series. The lizard, who went by the name Lizard, was owned by a young girl. It appears the girl had the lizard just for a few days before it passed away, but she really insisted the whole family get involved in a serious farewell. Mum, sister, nephew, even grandma got involved, but it was the brother who said what everyone was thinking. Well, that's it from NewsFeed. Reach out to me with your questions, your comments, complaints and suggestions at Kim Vanel. You'll find us 24/7 on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Follow, subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow.